who does Deok Sun end up marrying? And I know this is highly debated. Everybody got feelings about this. And I know the first time I watched it, I was 100% Team Jung. I was pissed. Their chemistry is insane. It's like you see these two and you're like, oh, I get it. This is everything. So I think that's one reason why a lot of folks are Team Jung Hwan. But let's be real. Be real. A great option. You can't lose. You can't lose with Team Taek or Jung Hwan. Overthinking K dramas is about taking one drama and breaking it down at all angles. What we love, what we don't love, what works, what doesn't work, even diving into the writing, how that makes sense. I'm also a life coach, so that might be a little bit involved. That might be a little bit of it. Me thinking about the human condition, thinking about people and how these stories show up in our lives. I'm Terry, and I am a huge overthinker. It's what I do, it's my talent, it's what I'm good at. You know, you have to know what you're really good at. And I think K dramas are a really great way to overthink life and our experiences. And once you start one, you just go down the rabbit hole. If you're a big K drama watcher, you want to talk about it with someone. And sometimes there's nobody to talk to. So I want to talk to you all about these dramas because oftentimes I find myself talking to myself when I'm on my walk. I'm thinking about a drama, about what happened. So hopefully, this could be a good place for me to let down these thoughts and overthink some K dramas with some people. So today we are going to be overthinking Reply 1988. I figured this one was a good place to start. It's a drama from 2015, and it is a big, lovely cup of nostalgia. It's such a warm drama. It's a warm hug, a slice of chocolate cake, and hot chocolate all rolled up into one thing. Like, I know that's a crazy description, but that's how you feel when you watch it. It's such a really good, heartwarming drama, and there's a lot to overthink here. A lot to overthink. Let's start overthinking Reply 1980. The premise of Reply 1980 is about these five friends who all live in this alley. They all live around the same block, is what we call it. So it's five friends, four boys and one girl. And they were all born in 1971. I think they call that the baby boom year, where a bunch of people had a baby. So all of these friends live in this alleyway, and they're all neighbors. And it's a story about these friends, but also a story about their parents and the community that they build in this area, in this neighborhood. And really, the neighborhood is one of the main characters of the entire show. It's a huge ensemble cast, but everyone is really important in their own way. And I think the theme about neighborhood and community comes across really strong. And I think that's why this drama is so popular, because so many people can probably see themselves or wish that they were a part of a community like this. And especially during the time of 1988, where so much was happening in South Korea at that time, you know, the Olympics in 1988, a lot of students like fighting for democracy that shows up in the drama. And really the relationship between these five friends is so strong and interesting. It's just really interesting. It's really nice to see how they all interact with each other. One of the really big themes of the show is community and being able to help each other. And I think when it comes this comes across in a couple of ways. The first one I think of is Sunwoo's mom when she is about to be kicked out of this home in this neighborhood that she's always loved because her mother-in-law put her in a really bad situation. And she goes to text dad, and he says something that I think is like so interesting, where he's like, life is long. And sometimes in life, you're indebted to people, and sometimes you'll have to inconvenience people, you know, and that's life. And if you need help, you need to speak up about it. And what's interesting about that is that she's really sad and worried about having to ask for help, but she's the reason why Tech's dad moved to that neighborhood. She's like, "You need to move to my neighborhood." And he's like, "Why would I move to your neighborhood?" She's like, "Well, there's a lot of nice people here, and you're gonna need some help getting over your wife. So why don't you move here?" And he did, and that sets off his whole life. Like, Tech now lives in this neighborhood with these 4 other kids, and they love him so much, and they're so protective of him. So when he says that sometimes you have to be in debt of people and inconvenience people, it was so much more than that because she had given him so much, and now this was his opportunity to help her. And I think that's a really lovely, you know, theme of what the show is, like community being there for each other and you never know when someone is going to show up for you or when you're going to need to show up for someone else. So now the best way to understand this too, I think, is if we dive into the 5 families. So the first family is the Sung family. This is Deok Sun's family. She's the lead girl. She has her sister Bora and her brother Nuol and her parents, and they live in the basement apartment. And this is a big part of the story. The dad, his friend took out a loan and he never repaid it. So he has these 3 kids and a wife, and they live in this basement apartment. And Duxan is really the invisible child here. She's the middle child. She has the older sister and the younger brother, and she feels ignored a lot. She feels unseen a lot. Her and her sister are about 3 years apart, so close enough in age to get on each other's nerves. And she has the younger brother who, the running theme is that he looks really old. He's a really sweet kid, but he has a really old face, so that's really cute. So I think what's interesting, I think a lot of us can relate to like middle child syndrome. Her older sister is really smart and also really mean. Bora is mean and she's scary, but that's a big part of it is that Bora has this really big personality, whereas Sun she's known as the pretty one. And she also is really compassionate and she is really well liked. And this is something that her older sister kind of envies in her. We find out later because Bora is the really smart one, and she's also the oldest, which holds a lot of weight. She has a really big job, but she also was about tradition and order. She don't play, and low poor ducks be having to deal with this one all the time, but it's really interesting. So the parents, they dote on the older one and the younger one, and Duck Sun feels ignored a lot. Like you see this when they're eating. And food is such a big part of this show too. So this family doesn't have a lot of money. So the mom, she makes food, they have breakfast, and they only have so many eggs. They have 2 eggs. The older one gets the egg and the younger one gets the egg, and Duck Sun gets black. And her mom is like, "Well, you love black beans." So she always kind of gets the short end of the stick. And with her friends, she's the only girl. So she has a lot to battle, but she's always able to keep like a really bright and fun demeanor. The writing is really good in this because her birthday is very close to her sister's birthday. So what these parents do is they have a cake and they sing happy birthday to the older sister, blow out the candles, put on fresh candles, and then sing happy birthday to Duck Sun. And she is over this. She's done. She was like, I need to celebrate my birthday on my own by myself. This is mess. Hey, passes to my birthday with my older sister. So she brats out and she has a really big emotional outburst. And she's crying and she's really upset. And a couple of days later, she's sitting with her dad, and her dad surprises her with her own after she has this outburst. And he says to her, "Listen, parents aren't born parents. I wasn't born your dad. We're learning along the way. So if you could please be patient with us, as we're learning," which I think is really interesting for parents to admit to, especially during this nostalgic time in 1988, that, being a parent, you're not always going to get it right, but you can try and you can try to make it right. And also admit that, like, maybe a mistake was made, and I think that's really a lot of what Deok Sun goes through is having to share so much, with her siblings while trying to be her person. Bora is totally different. She's the oldest sister. She's very responsible and she's also really mean. She is a firecracker. She has no time to play. She keeps all the kids in line. All the kids on the block are afraid of her. And even the parents are a little afraid of her too. And I have to be honest, I'm a little afraid of Bora because she don't play. She don't let anybody get out of line. And that's the thing. What's interesting about her too is that she wants to study law, and we know that her parents aren't well off, so she was able to get into Seoul University, but she studied teaching because it was cheaper than studying law. So on one hand, like her being the responsible one holds a lot of weight, but she also is willing to fight what she believes in, even if it means that she might be disappointing her parents. But this switches up a little bit. We see when she gets caught and the police are coming after her and she sees her mom is just really trying to fight for her. And this breaks her down. And she is thinking to herself, oh man, I need to really figure this out. And you kind of see this really proud girl fall on her sword because she doesn't want to see her parents humiliated, so she gets it, she knows what the rules are and how far she can go. The relationship she has with Sunwoo is such a special relationship within the show because she's older, she's 3 years older than him. He's really nice and kind and he's good to people and everyone's wondering why does he like her, and because she's so mean. And what we find is that when his dad dies at his funeral, she allows him to cry. She allows him to like have this moment of grief, even though Bora can be really mean and steadfast. She also is really compassionate when it counts, when it matters. And she has that moment with Sun Woo, and that makes him fall in love with her. Jung Hwan's family. Ah, I love Jung Hwan so much. His face, his face is facing. He's just so adorable to me. So his family, he has his mom, his dad, and his older brother. And they used to be poor, but they won the lottery. Everybody's dream. Jung Hwan's mom is just so sweet. She wears this cheetah print all the time. So they call her Miss Cheetah. So I'm gonna call her Miss Cheetah. So she's really strong and she's really smart. And we get the air that she's very worldly. She likes certain American things, and she just really takes care of her family really well. And her husband is just very silly man. The silliness of the dad is just so interesting because Jung Hwan's character, he's so stoic, right? He's a very serious kid, and I would say he's the leader of the group. So he does feel like I don't know if there is a leader, but argue and say Jung Hwan might be the leader, but you all let me know if you think he might be the leader of this group. And then we have Sunwoo. So with Sunwoo, he has his mom who's raising him on her own with their younger sister. And Sunwoo was such a sweet kid. I think he just wants his mom to be happy and to never have to worry about him. Also the running joke is that his mom can't cook, which is hilarious. Everyone thinks her cooking is pretty awful, but he makes sure he eats her food all the time. He comes home late, he finishes his food, and he comes back with this empty thing. So that just shows how much he loves and cares for his mom. And the mom, she's younger than the two other women, Deok Sun's mom and Jung Hwan's mom. And she's just really doing her best to keep her head above water after the death of her husband and having to raise these children on her own. So next we have Dunkrang, and he is the comedy relief. He is so adorable, so cute, so funny. He's always getting into things. His dad is the dean of the school that him and his friends go to. And his mom is a working mom. She's not home a lot. And this causes a lot of stress for him because he misses his mom and his mom's cooking. In addition to being the comic relief, he's also their designated counselor. He is extremely intuitive and has a lot of empathy and kind of sees things about relationships and people that other people don't see. And they all know that they can come to him when they need some advice. And his advice is really good and they all tend to use it, which is always a lot of fun. He's often home a lot. So he's a lonely kid and he acts out a lot because his parents aren't really home. His dad is really hard on him. He's the dean of the school, so you can't have your kid around here embarrassing you, all the time. And his mom works, and he is the product of that. And I think he has an older brother, but the older brother's already out of the so this kid spends a lot of time alone, and we see like how he deals with that. Sometimes he acts out, but he also has community, which is really great. He has his friends. And then finally, we have Tech, which number one, Park Ro Gum, so cute. His smile just lights up a room. He is just so adorable. So he's the last kid to move to the neighborhood when his mom passes and him and his dad move to the neighborhood. And he is a go game genius. He drops out of school in middle school and goes to go play go game. And it is this kid's entire life to play this game. He's a genius. He's super smart. Um, uh, the neighborhood kids really rally around him. The other four just love him so much. Everyone's so protective of him because he's the neighborhood's gift. Like, he's famous for being a go game prodigy, but in real life things, he has a tough time. He could do a Rubik's Cube and play Go Game, but he can't open his lid of yogurt. He can't tie his shoes well. He can't do these everyday things, and everyone just kind of accepts this about him because he's really sweet and they all protect him. And it's just really lovely to see how they all accept this kid for who he is. And what I think is really interesting is like, we see even though the families can be similar in some ways, they're different in a lot of ways too, right? So we have three stay-at-home moms, we have two parents who are widowed, and we also have one kid whose parents work. And I think what makes this show work really well is that it doesn't say that one family is good or one family is bad, right? So you have the moms who stay at home, but then you also have Dunkrang's mom, who, when it came around time for retirement, she retired and the oldest son had children and she was home staying with the kids. And she ended up leaving and running away because her value wasn't all about being a mom, it was being a working mom. And when she had to retire and be out of the game, you can tell how it affected her, that a lot of her value was tied up in being a working woman and having to sit back, not really sit back, but just staying at home with her grandkids. It wasn't going to be enough for her. So I really liked how they touched on that because all families are different, and all moms are different. And I think with being a mom, it's like damned if you do, damned if you don't, right? You stay at home with these kids, you don't stay home, you work. Like there's nothing, that really that satisfies everyone. But I think in this case with her, it was really interesting that she said that it's not enough for me just to be their mom. So now we're going to talk about the relationships in the show, and they're so good, they're so juicy. I think we should start with Sunwoo and Bora. I think they're a good place to start because they're a very cute couple. Sunwoo is Deok Sun's friend, so 3 years younger than Bora, and he has a crush on her and he lets her know. Bora also plays by the rules. He can't speak casually to her, so he has to call her ma'am, which is hilarious. And it also goes to show like how, bossy Bora is. So they date for a little while. And what's interesting is you later see the age difference between the two of them, right? So we're gonna fast forward to them breaking up, which I think is really interesting and also something that had to happen. Because at this point, if we remember, Bora decided to go be a teacher and not a lawyer because it was cheaper to be a teacher. And so the parents tell her, "Hey, we couldn't do this before, but if you want to study for the bar, you can do this now." well. So she decides to go study and take the bar, but she breaks up with him, which I think is really important. And she also had to break up with him because if you think about it, she's super smart. She wanted to be a lawyer, didn't do it because of paying for tuition and all that. So I think this is her way of being like, you know what? My parents are doing something really big for me. I need to hunker down and figure this out and show up the way that I know I'm supposed to show up. And I can't be having this little high school boyfriend, you know, um, in the wings like this. I have to 100% focus, which I think is wrong. I think it's a huge example of you choosing yourself. It's not, it'll hurt Sunwoo. He'll be sad, but I mean, and I'm sure she's sad as well, but I think this is her choosing her future, which I think is something that's super important. So I think they had to break up. But we see them get back together years later, which is when he's in medical school and she's like, further progressed after the bar, and uh, and they're a married couple. But then we have all the drama and all the fun that Deok Sun's life is, and the love triangle that she's. What I love about her character is that she likes people who like her. So the crushes that she has is not because she likes them so much, it's because someone plants a seed. And then a lot of the theme of the show is this who does Deok Sun end up marrying? Who is she gonna marry? We don't know. Because they're playing with us during all these episodes because we have no idea which one of these boys that she ends up marrying. We know it's one of them. We just don't know who, right? So she goes on this journey of crushing on Sunwoo, only because her friend planted the seed, because she wasn't worried about him before, but now she really worried about him. And then she finds out that he likes Bora, and she's devastated because she's like, "Why first? Terrible, this is crazy." So she's heartbroken. But then we also find out that Jung Hwan has a crush on her. He's checking for her. He's always looking for her. He always likes her. So we see this, and he doesn't say anything. So then we get into the triangle of Jung Hwan, Deok Sun, and Taek. And I know this is highly debated. Everybody got feelings about this. And I know the first time I watched it, I was 100% Team Jung. I was pissed. I was pissed after 20 episodes that they didn't end up together because the yearning and the pining, it's like he really cared for this girl, but he never told her. There was never an opportunity that he took to be like, hey, like, let's figure this out. But even when she started to like him, because again, her friends planted the seed, but this time they were accurate. They were right that Jung Hwan likes her. So she was trying to get him, to, admit that you like me. And he never did. I think a lot of people are Team Jung Hwan because these two actors have amazing chemistry. And they also dated after the show. I think they just broke up maybe a year or two ago. And I think it makes a lot of sense because their chemistry is insane. It's like you see these two and you're like, oh, I get it. This is everything. So I think that's one reason why a lot of folks are Team Jung Hwan. But let's be real. Be real. A great options. You can't lose. You can't lose with Team Taek or Jung Hwan. Like these are really two great options. But I think the way that the show lays it out, and this is something I had to think about when I decided that I was Team Jung Hwan. And after a couple of days, I was like, why do I like him so much? Why do I like him so much? And I thought about it more, and I think it's because conditioning that we get as kids when a boy likes you, they tell you, oh, if he teases you, if he pulls your hair, if he hits you, he likes you, which is annoying and BS on all sorts of levels. Like control yourself. He negs her a lot. He rude to her a lot. He embarrasses her in front of her friends. He's very short with her. Every little thing she does, he's like kind of on top of it. It's because he likes her, but also he can't control his emotions. He's not emotionally mature enough to really have this conversation with her or deal with her in that type of way. We see that as passion for some reason. I think I saw that as passionate, as him like being passionate about her. And my grown self, no, I'm supposed to expect you to be like a really great person in a relationship, you know? I think that's really weird. But when it comes to Tech, like Tech is he's just always so kind. It was always so nice to her. He also was a bit more mature than Jung Hwan, probably because he plays Go Game and all this stuff. And like, also they're two totally different people, but he's just a lot more mature and is able to like see Deok Sun for who she is. She's silly, she's funny, she can't dance. He's able to laugh with her, and let her be who she is. So he's kind of that slow and steady guy that you can always trust. Whereas Jung Hwan is like the one, does he like me? I don't know. Like if he's like that push and pull that I think we're kind of taught to be attracted to. And the show kind of they chalk it up to timing, which I'm not really sure if it's timing. I think he's just kind of, oh, this is gonna be so mean. I think he's just kind of a coward, and he's kind of coward and just never, is able to tell her feelings. But also, I think a big thing is the friendship. I think the friendship that these kids have for each other is really important because we see this when Jung Hwan finds out that Tech likes ducks and he yields to him. And they both yield to each other when they both find out that they both like Deok Sun at different times, they both back up. And I think that just shows like how much they love each other, how much they care for each other, that they're not trying to, make moves on this girl or cross any lines because their friendship is more important than anything else. And when they get older, when the show moves them past high school, I think it also shows like how grown up Tech actually has become because he's not playing around anymore. He's like, I'm going after this. This is what I want. And I think Jung Hwan gets it too, but he gets there too late. But also I think even when he confesses at the table to Deok Sun, I think that's a little cowardly too, because it's he tells her about, I've waited for you, I've loved you, like I've been looking after you all these years. But then in the end, it's like, oh, not really. I'm just kidding. Psych. So I just think like he never really gets to show up and own his feelings for this girl. For me, the lesson is it's okay to be with the guy who's really kind to you, the slow and steady, like all that passion, all of this dude's trying to, he's yelling at you. You don't know, you have no idea. I think it's kind of nice to be with somebody who's steady and always kind and always shows up for you no matter what, even though I think Jung Hwan is, again, both of them are great options at the end of the day. But if I really think about it, I think it's really something to have somebody who is on your side and really kind of lets you be who you want to be at all times. You don't have to worry about if he's going to tell you to shut up or be silly or like, why are you doing that? Like, get out of my business. And I think Tech kind of always let her be her. And I think that's really special. So now I'm Team Tech all the way. So Reply 1988, I think people love it so much because you fall in love with all these characters and everyone's just really down to earth, and you can kind of like see yourself in a lot of these situations too. Because when I think of like the end of the show and they talk about, would you want to go back, to 1988? And I think like Deok Sun's last line is like, just like I could never go back to that street, I could never go back to those days. Enter me 1988, year of my youth. I think it's a great line, but I also think the real theme of the show, what it's really about, is when she says, I would love to go back because it wasn't only my youth, it was my parents' youth. It was a time where you were young, but then also you were having these experiences with your parents as well. With the time when you're in high school, when you're young, your parents are young too. You know, they're having these experiences and friends and relationships and trying to make money for the family. It's just really interesting and lovely to know that, yeah, it's not just your youth, it's the youth of your parents. So that's all we have for today. Comment below if you are Team Tech or Team Jung Hwan. I really want to know. This is really something that I think about all the time. Let's overthink about this a little bit.